Thank you for joining today's Gold 50 webinar ahead of our listing on ASX at midday Australian Eastern Time. I'm Dannika Warburton from Investability, and I'm delighted to hand over to Mark Wallace, Managing Director of Gold 50, for this special pre-listing webinar, which will be followed by a Q&A. Over to you, Mark.
Excellent, Dannika. Thank you. Okay, hopefully everyone can see the screen there. Just want to thank everyone for their time today, just introducing Gold 50. Some of you may have some familiarity with us through some of our pre-marketing and pre-IPO roadshowing. For those that haven't, here's a brief introduction. Just bear in mind that the bulk of the information here has come from our IGR and prospectus. We've been pretty busy in the last 3 months behind the scenes, so there's a lot more updates to come, especially over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So introducing the Gold 50 story, where gold exploration, Arizona and Nevada, fantastic location to be, ranks numbers 1 and 2 in the world for investment case for gold exploration especially. Great people behind Gold 50, strong board and management team with a lot of technical expertise, and some great processes as well, just working in a really unique opportunity. Working in ground that we believe hasn't been worked thoroughly or properly for the better part of 40 years. Been sitting almost in like a time capsule for that period of time. It's a bit like walking into Kalgoorlie probably 30, 40 years ago, but knowing what we know now, it's a really exciting opportunity, both Arizona and Nevada. So swiftly moving in, a disclaimer and a CP. So the corporate overview, experienced leadership team, strong track record of working in Southwest USA and Nevada and the Great Basin. Our flagship project, Gold Condor, is in Arizona. It's adjacent to the Copper Moly porphyry deposit. It's an operation called Mineral Park. It's been operating since the 1960s. Major minings has ceased there. It's on care and maintenance. They're operating from the dumps there at the moment. It's getting a new lease of life with the higher commodity prices. 4 high potential, underexplored and fantastic projects in Nevada in the Walker Lane trend, and with the management team and the board and the money we have now, aggressive growth by the drill bit is planned. IPO funding complete, IPOing today in about an hour's time, and strongly supported by institutional high net worth mining types. I would say that over half the register, almost half the register, is going to be escrowed, strong support by insiders, and really excited about getting stuck into the projects at hand. Leadership team, I'll probably start with the more important first, and this will give you an idea on the expertise in the system here. Rob Reynolds, our independent non-exec chairman, well known to a lot of for the mining investor types on the ASX and the TSX, formerly of Delta Gold, Avoca, Alassa. And currently director of Odessian Gold and Rugby Mining. We probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our non-exec director and major shareholder, and Bernard Rowe. He's the MD and founder of Ioneer, formerly of Global Geoscience. 2 decades experience of operating in Nevada and the southwest of the USA. Taken Ioneer from a junior explorer to a better part of $800 million giant of the lithium boron space operating out of Nevada. And we lean on Bernard and expertise and IP within Nevada from him especially. Danny Sims is our Arizona manager, PhD in economics and structural geology. It's really well suited here, that expertise for our Arizona Gold Condor project. Extensive mine site experience in this part of the world, Alaska, Mexico, and formerly of operating with giant groups like Teck Cominco and Newmont. Wade Johnson is our Nevada-based exploration manager, 10 years of experience from Agnico Eagle, Cordex, and Silver Predator. It probably gives everyone a really good insight just into the lean, mean team we have operating in this part of the world. It's in our DNA. It's the lifeblood of Gold 50. It's the genuine experience that the board and management bring to the Gold 50 and the opportunity. I'd probably go so far as to say on the ASX, this is probably one of the more unique vehicles of playing exploration in Nevada and Arizona, and especially with the balance sheet and expertise we have at hand. Swiftly moving into the projects themselves. And so, why be here? And I think some people have seen the podcast online more recently. There's lots of gold, lots of silver, but lots of gold specifically in this Walker Lane trend here to be found. It's underexplored, this part of Nevada. Most of the expertise and money is being spent probably more to the north in the well-known trends like the Carlin. That's more big company operations, the way I see it, and I think we see it, which is bigger systems, lower grade, and which usually require lots of money. We prefer to go sort of the grade is king model and working in and around the Walker Lane trend, very much underexplored. We've seen some corporate activity in the area more recently. Newcrest is heading into Nevada. They've made it one of their 5 pillars of exploration upside for their portfolio. They announced to the market this week. They're in the Walker Lane trend and a bit more north to the Carlin trend. We expect they'll be probably busier in this part of the world. They've started a foothold. Lots of gold, big producing region, largest in the USA, 6.5 million ounces a year, underexplored. If you look at the budgets, just moving on quickly into how gold corporates spend their money around the world, the Nevada and Great Basin probably see half as much as other prolific parts of the world like Canada and Australia. And we see that as our opportunity to sort of get involved, bring our expertise and our skill sets, our IP and our knowledge and the processes of early stage and brownfields exploration in this part of the world. Nevada ranks numbers 1 and 2, currently only seeing about 10% of global gold production. Jurisdiction, I think, is something that the people probably aren't familiar with as far as the risk that we need to take on. Nevada and Arizona, prolific gold exploration, lots of support as far as mining services, infrastructure. For example, we've been doing lots of work at our properties, geophysics, soil sampling, stream seds. Getting labour is really good, leaning on Danny and Wade's expertise and IP. Getting people involved, getting labs, getting things turned around, and it's really great. It was once said to me that probably Joburg and Kalgoorlie and Perth were the last bastions of proper mining service support, but Reno and Nevada as a whole has a lot going on, and it's really busy and it's exciting for us. Moving on, just to drill down now into our projects. So we've got 5 projects, one our flagship, one at Golconda in Arizona, and Spitfire, Caisson, Top Gun, and Broken Hills in Nevada. All significant known gold mineralization at surface, and Broken Hills and Top Gun targeting epithermal gold silver mineralization similar to nearby mines. These projects all came through the internal network and IP of Bernard and the rest of the guys in the Southwest USA by his experience from operating there for 20 odd years, and then also through the Ioneer experience and just knowing the network. Lots have come through the system in the last few years. And these are the ones that kind of stuck because they're worth it. They're the significant opportunities here. The permit boundary, the projects there, Golconda, you'll see our land package there increase significantly over the coming months as we've started to understand the geology better and the opportunity there specifically. First year budgets, they are probably ranked in order. Golconda and Spitfire, excuse me, will probably see the significant part of those budgets. Only because we've got a bit more information there and they're working up nicely. Caisson, Top Gun, and Broken Hills are probably a little bit further behind, only because they just haven't had the work done on them yet. So, zooming now into the Golconda itself, in the Wallapine mining district, extensive vein systems, high precious metal grades. Golconda itself was a producing zinc-lead mine back up until 1917. Surface infrastructure sort of burnt to the ground, and no one bothered going back in there and having a proper and thorough look. Precious metals, there was significant precious metals reporting to the zinc and lead concentrate, but had likely been untested, never followed up. So there's been no significant exploration here for the better part of 30 years due to fragmented ownership. And in the last 18 months, Bernard and our team in country have managed to put a bigger package together, and we've expanded that again in the last 6 weeks. Excuse me. Proximal to a mineral park, operating mine, lots of surface infrastructure, power, water, etc. Known mining district, and close to the town of Kingman. It's around 40,000 people. Probably, I think an Arizona equivalent of a Kalgoorlie. Lots of service support there as well. Just moving in. behind the scenes, I guess, we get to lean on some really significant expertise and consultants as well. And so Dick Silito has been helping out as well behind the scenes. This is sort of a geological model, that it's been proposed and we're working on. And you can see there the mineral park in the middle of that diagram, the Sacramento Fault to the west, and then the zonation of the metals in and around that. Again, the zinc and lead was well known and reported here. This is the largest zinc mine in the USA domestically up until the early 1900s, and again has just never been followed up. Looking at our map boundary there and with the major veins, what we've managed to do is put a contiguous package together that, due to the previous fractured ownership and smaller scale sort of exploration, no one was really thinking about this in a bigger picture. So what we've managed to do is put the land package together, come back at a 30,000 foot view and sort of start again. So using some worldview tree alteration mapping, which has been really helpful. You'll hear us talk a lot more about that. The guys at Eagle Mountain also talk about it. Our peers in Canada, Northern Vertex and so on, operating in this part of the world, they're starting to use it now as well. And I wouldn't say we pioneered it, but Burnham was definitely onto it quite early and helped really sort of hone in on this opportunity. So as we've put the claim blocks together, adding more modern techniques that the ground hasn't seen for 40 odd years, geophysics, ground mag, and then some old school mapping, and then stream sets and soil sampling. So, lots of news flow to come over the next sort of 6 weeks as we get to update the market on exactly what we're uncovering here. The metal zonation helps definitely, and that model, Dick is involved. We're just going to have to go through the gears on sort of back to basics, first principles of exploration. Honing in now on Golconda proper, largely untested. It's a structurally set system, and no systematic surface geochem surveys until what we've managed to achieve in the last few months. And there's a small, tiny resource up in the northwest corner there, Golden Eagle, but that structure is well defined. It's all the way through, our claim block and all the way down, trending down to the to that southeast. The gold dotted lines are the priority areas, and there's lots of alteration, lots of complexity here. That Bronco Dike, which is near the Ora Plata, that sort of runs more, northeasterly and back down towards the property that hits the Golconda vein and the Tub vein. That'll be a high priority opportunity for us when we sort of get the drill rigs rolled out. The veins there are mapped, they're not interpreted. That's sort of previous work we've managed to pick up on, and it's all through the properties, structurally defined and controlled. So, and we're really excited about getting out here and doing some drilling. Moving on to the Nevada properties, 4 here. Top Gun and Broken Hills are close proximity to each other, and so we usually talk about them in the one sort of vein. Spitfire has vastly moved up the opportunity spectrum for us. We've come across some old Kinross data that we managed to purchase from them, and we'll be getting a chance to update the market on what we've found there soon. Some small drilling, lots of soils and stream sediments, and some geophysics as well. And so that's why Spitfire has been elevated to a higher priority, I guess, relative to the others in Nevada. But it doesn't mean that the others are less significant, just means it needs more work to be done. Contiguous land packages, unpatented mining claims, BLM, lease with option to purchase, and really close to Reno, 100 kilometers up to the northwest there of the picture, if you see. So it's been really good. I'm not sure if anyone else has had the same experience in the last few months operating in Australia with lockdowns and rolling issues and so on. We don't have any of this in Nevada and Arizona, and it's been nice just to sort of make our plans and get on with life. Spitfire, more specifically, I guess we've spent the last few months doing more work here, trying to understand exactly the model we want to interrogate. It's really nice to start off, I guess, with some of these initial rock chip samples collected by G50, and there's been a lot more collected since then. They're sitting in labs, so we're expecting to update the market on those over the next few weeks. But 38 of initial 74 samples averaging plus 23 grams gold and 38 grams silver, and then 21 of those are plus 10 gram hits. So this is the Walker Lane trend, significantly different to probably what the market would normally assume for Nevada, which is that Carlin trend up to the north. This is hasn't had any really proper work done on it. Kinross did some interesting stuff. Looks like they were targeting probably more of a porphyry or copper opportunity. Didn't really pick up on these opportunities here, or if they did, they never followed up. That kind of was finished in around 2010. I think they're having their own issues with other parts of the world, and they let all this go, and hence that's our opportunity. So, lots more mapping and surface sampling and the geophysical surveys, and you'll be seeing that into the marketplace in the next sort of 2 to 4 weeks. Caisson, this is probably next, and I would say third out of our 5 projects. Again, initial reconnaissance and sampling completed. Geophysics has been completed here just recently, waiting for interpretation and getting a report. And I guess is probably more of an indication how we're integrating a lot more modern techniques of the ground mag and geophysics, the old school nature of just the basics of soils and mapping, to define our model that we want to test. But Caisson's third only because of just it hasn't had as much work done on it. We're out there busy again now mapping with our geologists and exploration manager as we speak. Broken Hills and Top Gun, similar to nearby Rawhide and Paradise Peak. One of those is coming back into production again soon. Significant gold and silver mineralization at surface. Significant packages here. Lots of cover in the Broken Hills, in the Top Gun project that we're just working our head around. But again, more geophysics and some soil sampling, some required here. A lot of high grade, again, silver assays occurring with the gold, 5 samples of 3 to 7 grams gold and 700 plus grams of silver. So, more things of like, what we would like to see, at Broken Hills and Top Gun in that Walker Lane trend, and less so of, the lower grade opportunities you'd see in the Carlin and RC drilling planned. So I guess, just to summarize, we've got strong people and pedigree here. Explorations in our DNA. The experience of Rob Reynolds, steering the ship, with Burns' experience operating in this part of the world, and myself, coming from a corporate finance background but operated globally, in the last 20 plus years in junior exploration, especially all the way to pre-production capital and so on. I was really excited to meet with Bernard early this year, to understand the opportunity here and be involved. It's a part of the world that I haven't personally been involved with before, but it's really exciting, especially working with Danny and Wade and having the experience in country to sort of get cracking at these assets. Wallace Mining District in Arizona and the Walker Lane trend in Nevada. You'll hear a lot more about this over the next 6 weeks. 5 high potential assets, aggressive strategy, especially with a well-supported IPO raising $10 million and a mandate to sort of get at it. So strongly backed and supported by institutions and high net worth mining investors. The better part of 60% of the register is actually based offshore and are really supportive of the strategy that management's putting in place. So I guess on that note, I'd like just to thank everyone for their time and the opportunity to present Gold 50, and expect to hear a lot more from us over the next 2 months, especially.
Thanks, Mark. Great presentation, very punchy.
Thank you.
We've had some questions come through, so I will get straight into them. And we don't have whose name this is, but they want to know, what's the timeline for drilling, deployment of funds? Was anything done over the past 4 weeks while waiting to list?
Actually, yeah, I mean, the past 3 months we've actually been quite active and busy, more probably in the Golconda and Spitfire areas. So a lot of more surface work and interpreting some of the database from Kinross. The Golconda, you'll see, because we've got a better understanding of what's happening at Golconda, you'll probably see a significant increase in our claims that we have there. And we're excited to sort of be talking about that pretty soon. As far as drilling, I guess honouring the process and honouring the project, I like to say, is that the more work we do, the more excited we get, but we want to make sure we're doing it properly. So there is a weather pattern system that sort of works through Arizona, especially. We're in the Sabat mountain range. A lot of winds and storms that can wash away roads and so on. So I expect Golconda and Arizona, we won't be working there drilling in earnest probably towards September, October, maybe a little bit later. Nevada is simpler and a bit easier. Climates are better and our access as well. So you probably see us drilling at Spitfire sooner rather than later, hopefully in the next few months. But again, a lot of work has taken place, but we keep on prioritizing our opportunities. And the more work we do, the more excited we get.
Awesome. So another question, what is the expected news flow, near-term news flow / catalyst for the story?
Sure. So a lot of what you'd think is back to basics, looking at properties that haven't seen significant work for the better part of 4 or 5 decades. So back to basics, ground mag, geophysics, the soils and the mapping, where we've seen fit to increase our land position, you'll see a significant increase in there. And then our better understanding of the geological setting and the model we want to test. What I would suggest, that's probably the next 4 to 6 weeks. We're well funded through to IPO, and so we haven't slowed down. The last 2 months has been pretty frantic. We've run both the IPO process and then behind the scenes, on the ground. So it's been very busy.
Okay. And how's rig availability over there? Is there an issue with that?
No, I think it's probably not dissimilar to Western Australia or Queensland, where rigs are, I think, are okay. It's mining, it's the crews to man them. So so far so good. I think, like most, you'll get priorities when your budgets are bigger and your commitments are larger. And so in identifying where we're going to drill first, we think that will put us in good stead. But again, with Danny and Wade and operating in country and their expertise and the people they know, we don't foresee any issues.
Okay. And so when do you expect those drill rigs to roll in?
Well, when we decide we think we've got the right priority targets to test. So we're definitely, going through a lot of the database. Every time we do work and pick up more ground, we have to do more work. So I'd like to think we've got a really good handle. You see the 3 priority targets at Golconda. And then if we add any more there, and then I'd like to think we'd, sort of committing to drilling definitely before the end of the year.
Okay. Here's one, not sure if you can answer, but which institutional investors participate in the IPO, and will they be buying in the aftermarket?
Yeah, I definitely hope so. So there are institutions, probably smaller micro-cap investors. They're not substantial shareholders yet, and so I don't really want to out them unless they're substantial shareholders. So yes.
Okay, so that probably ties into Colin's question. Are there any substantial plus 5% shareholders?
Most of them have been disclosed already. You'll see their founders and insiders, and of those, Bernard being one, and that's disclosed. The rest is insiders would be what I would call our attorney based in Nevada, and then some significant high net worth investors out of Southeast Asia as well.
Okay. Got 2 more questions. How much cover is there in Arizona and Nevada in your prospects?
Actually, up in the Sabat Mountains, none. So a lot of the soils and the stream sets, that's basically at surface. So, that's where, it's structurally controlled and defined. So there's no cover there or in the side of a mountain range. Where you'll see closer down off the mountain range and towards that Sacramento fault, there's pediment and cover there. We're not sure, and so we need to do a bit more work there. But I suspect it's not like probably the Yandal belt where you get 20-40 meters in WA, where I've sort of had significant cover, but we just don't know. And again, for Spitfire, that's mostly at surface and sticking out of the ground. Okay,
great. So I guess to close on, do you have any comments on what makes Gold 50 the opportunity unique compared to other exploration companies on the ASX?
Yeah, I think that's pretty simple. I mean, I've looked and followed, for the last few years, but the last few months especially, and there's a lot of small postage stamp size opportunities in Western Australia or Queensland or South Australia, and I think they're all really valid opportunities. I think on the ASX, you'll be struggling to find a well-funded, well-credentialed opportunity like Gold 50 that, operating in the, number 1, number 2 jurisdictions in the world. So I'd like to think that we're pretty unique on that basis. Again, until we're not, but, I think with the balance sheet, the people, our processes, and, Danny and Wade especially, you can't sort of get away from the fact it's really important to have people on the ground and working with you, and this probably wouldn't have happened without them as well. So it's that's why we're different.